Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered what a woman thinks even when her words say one thing but her body language says another? The truth is that women often communicate far more through gestures, expressions, and posture than they do with words. If you can learn to read these subtle signals, you'll unlock a new level of understanding in your interactions and relationships. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of female body language, decoding the unspoken messages that reveal attraction, interest, discomfort, and more. We'll cover everything from micro-expressions to posture, touch, and cultural differences that impact non-verbal communication. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to interpret these cues confidently, avoid miscommunication, and build stronger connections with the women in your life. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because the final insights will completely change how you perceive body language. So, if you're ready to sharpen your awareness and truly understand what she's saying, without her having to say a word, let's get started. 1. Decoding facial expressions. A woman's face often reveals far more than her words. While spoken language conveys explicit thoughts, facial expressions provide an unfiltered glimpse into underlying emotions, intentions, and reactions. Many men overlook these subtle yet powerful signals, either misinterpreting them or failing to notice them altogether. Yet those who develop the ability to read facial cues accurately gain a deeper understanding of a woman's emotional state, allowing for more meaningful interactions and stronger connections. A smile is one of the most common yet complex facial expressions. A genuine smile, where the corners of the eyes crinkle slightly and the entire face appears relaxed, is a clear sign of happiness and warmth. This type of smile signals authenticity from joy, amusement, or genuine appreciation. In contrast, a forced or polite smile that involves only the lips while the eyes remain disengaged may indicate discomfort, obligation, or an attempt to maintain social harmony despite internal hesitation. A teasing or flirtatious smile often carries a sense of playfulness, usually accompanied by sideways glances or a slight head tilt. This expression suggests a mixture of attraction and intrigue, an invitation to engage rather than a simple expression of friendliness. Eyebrow movements provide another critical layer of nonverbal communication. Raising eyebrows can signal surprise, curiosity, or skepticism, depending on the context. A woman who raises her eyebrows while widening her eyes is likely intrigued or excited, whereas a slower, more subtle lift might indicate doubt or mild disbelief. Furrowed brows often reflect frustration, confusion, or deep contemplation. If a woman furrows her brows while speaking, she may struggle to articulate her thoughts or experience inner conflict. One raised eyebrow, however, is typically a sign of playfulness, sarcasm, or subtle challenge. This small yet powerful movement can suggest amusement or an invitation to engage in a light-hearted exchange. Lip and mouth gestures are equally revealing. When a woman bites her lip, she may be experiencing nervousness, flirtation, or intense concentration. The context in which this occurs determines its meaning. If she bites her lip while maintaining eye contact and smiling, it often suggests attraction. Pursed lips, on the other hand, usually indicate tension, disapproval, or hesitation. A woman who presses her lips together may hold back words or emotions, weighing her response before speaking. Covering the mouth while speaking can signal shyness, insecurity, or an attempt to mask emotions. Sometimes it suggests that she is hesitant to share her true thoughts, either out of politeness or uncertainty about how her words will be received. Eye contact is one of the most telling aspects of nonverbal communication. When a woman maintains prolonged eye contact, it often signals engagement, interest, or attraction. Steady eye contact demonstrates confidence and attentiveness, suggesting that she is fully present in the interaction. Frequent looking away, however, can have multiple meanings. She may be nervous, disinterested, or even uncomfortable. A woman who avoids eye contact entirely may be trying to distance herself emotionally, whereas someone who repeatedly glances away and back may be feeling shy or uncertain. Blinking more than usual can indicate nervousness or excitement. Rapid blinking may even suggest attraction when paired with cues like a slight smile or dilated pupils. Understanding facial expressions is not about dissecting every movement in isolation, but rather about recognizing patterns and interpreting them within the broader context of an interaction. A woman's facial cues often work harmoniously with her tone of voice, body language, and verbal communication. The ability to read these signals accurately allows a man to respond more effectively, deepening his connection with the women he interacts with. By paying attention to the unspoken language of facial expressions, he can navigate conversations with greater confidence, empathy, and awareness, ultimately strengthening his relationships and social interactions. 2. Body posture and movement. A woman's body language often conveys more than her words ever could. Subtle shifts in posture, small gestures, and unconscious movements provide a window into her emotions, comfort level, and level of attraction. Learning to interpret these physical cues is invaluable for a man who wishes to understand women better. Reading and responding appropriately to nonverbal signals allows for smoother communication, deeper connections, and a greater awareness of the emotional undercurrents in any interaction. A woman's posture is one of the most telling indicators of her emotional state. When she maintains an open posture, standing or sitting with relaxed shoulders, uncrossed arms, and an upright stance, it signals confidence, receptiveness, and a willingness to engage. This is often seen in situations where she feels comfortable and interested. On the other hand, a closed posture, crossed arms, hunched shoulders, or a turned-away stance can indicate discomfort, defensiveness, or insecurity. This does not necessarily mean she is uninterested, but it may suggest hesitation, unease, or a need for more emotional reassurance before she fully engages. A man who recognizes these signals can adjust his approach accordingly, giving her space or making her feel more at ease. Movement plays a significant role in nonverbal communication. One of the most telling indicators of attraction or engagement is leaning. When a woman leans in during a conversation, she signals interest, attentiveness, and a desire for closer connection. She is subconsciously drawn toward the person she speaks with, indicating that she feels engaged and comfortable. In contrast, if she leans away, shifts backward, or increases physical distance, it often suggests discomfort, disinterest, or a subconscious desire to disengage from the conversation. Observing this cue can prevent misinterpretations and help a man gauge when to move forward or step back. Leg positioning is another revealing factor. A woman who crosses her legs may be signaling a mix of flirtation and reserved confidence when standing. This stance subtly draws attention to her legs and can indicate comfort and self-awareness. Changing her weight frequently or moving from foot to foot could suggest nervousness, impatience, or discomfort in the setting. In a seated position, crossed legs toward someone can be a subconscious indicator of attraction, while crossed legs turned away might suggest emotional or physical distance. How a woman interacts with her hair is often one of the most noticeable aspects of body language. Hair flipping, twirling or adjusting is commonly associated with flirtation or a desire to draw attention. These actions are often subconscious and can signal that she is aware of her appearance and wants to be noticed. Tucking her hair behind her ear, on the other hand, can indicate nervousness, attentiveness, or a desire to appear more composed. While not all hair movements indicate attraction, they are frequently a sign that she is engaged in the interaction and conscious of her presence. Mirroring is one of the most substantial subconscious signs of connection. When a woman mimics the gestures, posture, or speech patterns of the person she interacts with, it indicates comfort and rapport. This can be as subtle as matching hand movements, shifting posture in sync, or adopting similar facial expressions. When this occurs naturally, it is a strong signal that she feels connected on a deeper level, as mirroring is an unconscious way of building social harmony. Fidgeting often reveals underlying emotions. A woman who taps her fingers, shifts her feet, or plays with objects such as a ring or necklace may feel nervous, anxious, or uncertain. These small gestures are often self-soothing mechanisms that help her regulate emotions in social interactions. If these behaviors appear frequently, it is worth considering whether she is experiencing discomfort, excitement, or internal conflict. Recognizing these signals allows a man to approach the conversation with greater sensitivity and awareness. Understanding female body language is not about decoding rigid rules, but developing an awareness of emotional expression beyond words. By observing posture, movement, and gestures, a man can gain valuable insight into how a woman feels at any moment. This awareness allows for more effective communication, stronger connections, and a deeper appreciation for the unspoken elements of attraction and interaction. The key is not to overanalyze or jump to conclusions, but to remain observant, adaptable, and responsive to the signals she provides. 3. Gestures and touch. In relationships and social interactions, words are only part of the conversation. Women often communicate their emotions, attraction, and comfort through subtle hand gestures and physical touch. These nonverbal cues provide valuable insight into her feelings at a given moment. A man who understands this silent language can navigate interactions with greater awareness and sensitivity, responding appropriately to interest and discomfort. Hand gestures while talking are a natural extension of self-expression. When a woman uses her hands freely as she speaks, it often signals enthusiasm, confidence, and engagement in the conversation. The more animated her gestures, the more emotionally invested she likely is in what she's saying. On the other hand, minimal hand movement may suggest restraint, shyness, or uncertainty. If her hands remain still while she speaks, it could indicate that she is carefully choosing her words or hesitant about the subject. Observing this dynamic can help a man gauge whether she is comfortable and engaged or holding back for some reason. Beyond gestures, how a woman interacts with objects around her can be equally revealing. Playing with a pen, phone, or jewelry is often a subconscious action reflecting nervousness, attraction, or deep thought. If she repeatedly fidgets with something while speaking to a man, it may indicate excitement or an internal dialogue she has yet to articulate. However, holding an object with both hands may suggest defensiveness or a need for reassurance. In moments of uncertainty or stress, grasping an object firmly can serve as a grounding mechanism. Recognizing these subtleties allows a man to read between the lines of a conversation, identifying when she is relaxed, intrigued, or possibly withdrawn. Physical touch is one of the strongest indicators of emotional connection. A light touch on the arm or shoulder can carry multiple meanings depending on the context. It may be a friendly gesture, reinforcing a point, or expressing warmth in casual conversation. It can be a subtle but intentional display of affection or flirtation in a more intimate setting. The key to understanding touch is noticing whether it happens naturally and frequently, or seems hesitant and fleeting. Hesdion. If a woman initiates touch during a conversation, even in small ways, it is often a sign of comfort and trust. Body posture also plays a significant role in nonverbal communication. A woman's hand on her hip can signify confidence, assertiveness, or dominance. This stance often appears when she is making a strong statement, asserting her presence, or engaging in a conversation where she wants to be taken seriously. It is a posture of self-assurance, a sign that she is comfortable in her space and expects to be acknowledged. Conversely, pulling away from touch signals discomfort, disinterest, or a desire for more personal space. If a woman subtly retracts her hand when touched, or leans away from physical closeness, it is essential to respect that boundary. These gestures indicate that she may not feel entirely at ease. Rather than taking it personally or pushing for more closeness, a man attuned to these cues will recognize when to give space, allowing trust and comfort to develop naturally. A prolonged handshake or hug often reveals more profound emotional closeness. A woman who holds onto a handshake longer than necessary or lingers slightly in a hug is likely expressing warmth, affection, or even attraction. These moments of extended physical connection are unconscious ways of maintaining closeness, signaling a desire to prolong the interaction. However, a quick formal handshake or a brief impersonal hug suggests a more reserved or professional dynamic. Understanding these subtle distinctions can help a man interpret whether a woman opens the door to deeper emotional engagement or maintains a polite distance. Gestures and touch are intricate parts of human connection, often speaking louder than words. A man who listens to these silent messages can gain valuable insight into a woman's thoughts and feelings. He does not need to overanalyze every movement, but rather develop an intuitive awareness of when a woman is engaged, comfortable, or seeking distance. By respecting and responding appropriately to these cues, he fosters an environment where genuine connection can flourish, built not only on words but also on human interaction's more profound, unspoken language. 4. Contextual interpretation and cultural differences. Body language is often considered a universal form of communication, yet its meaning is far from absolute. What may be perceived as a sign of interest in one situation could be entirely neutral or even harmful in another. When interpreting a woman's body language, context is everything. A gesture or facial expression does not exist in isolation. The environment, cultural background, emotional state, and personal experiences of the individual shape it. A man who understands this does not jump to conclusions based on isolated actions, but instead considers the bigger picture before forming an interpretation. The social setting is crucial in how a woman expresses herself non-verbally. In a formal environment, such as a workplace or professional gathering, she may adopt a more reserved posture, keeping her gestures controlled and her facial expressions neutral. This does not necessarily indicate disinterest, but rather an awareness of the setting's expectations. In contrast, her body language may become more animated in a casual or romantic setting, with open postures, expressive eyes, and relaxed movements. A man who fails to account for the setting may misread her intentions, assuming warmth where there is mere politeness, or detecting coldness where professionalism is the actual cause. Cultural differences further complicate nonverbal communication. Eye contact, for instance, is often interpreted differently depending on cultural background. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact signals confidence, respect, or romantic interest. It may be seen as intrusive, aggressive, or inappropriate in others. A woman from a culture that values indirect communication may avoid direct eye contact as a sign of humility rather than a lack of attraction. Similarly, gestures such as touching one's hair, tilting the head, or standing close may carry different meanings depending on cultural norms. A man who assumes that all women interpret these cues the same way risks misunderstanding interactions and responding in ways that do not align with the woman's intentions. A woman's emotional state also significantly influences her body language. Stress, anxiety, or fatigue can make her appear closed off or disengaged, even if she usually is expressive and open. Crossed arms, a lack of sustained eye contact, or minimal physical movement may indicate that she is preoccupied with her thoughts rather than disinterested in the conversation. Conversely, excitement or joy can lead to exaggerated gestures, frequent smiling, and increased physical proximity. A man attuned to these fluctuations recognizes that emotions influence body language just as much as attraction or interest. Rather than assuming that a single action defines the entire interaction, he looks for patterns and consistency in her behavior. Misinterpreting body language can lead to unnecessary confusion or miscommunication. A man who assumes that every smile or prolonged gaze is a sign of romantic interest may find himself in awkward situations, just as a man who dismisses subtle cues of attraction may overlook genuine opportunities for connection. The key to accurate interpretation is patience and observation. Instead of reacting impulsively, a man who understands context takes the time to read the whole picture. He considers her tone of voice, facial expressions, and the environment in which the interaction occurs. He does not force meaning onto a gesture, but allows the interaction to unfold naturally, adjusting his understanding as more information becomes available. In relationships and dating, reading body language with nuance is invaluable. Women often communicate their feelings non-verbally before they express them in words. A woman who leans in when speaking, maintains steady eye contact, or mirrors a man's gestures is likely engaged in the conversation and comfortable in his presence. On the other hand, if she repeatedly glances away, creates physical distance, or keeps her body angled away, she may be signaling disinterest or discomfort. Understanding these signals requires more than memorizing a list of common gestures. It demands an awareness of context, cultural background, and emotional state. By approaching body language with curiosity rather than assumption, a man better understands the women he interacts with. He does not force meaning onto ambiguous signals, but instead pays attention to the overall flow of the conversation and the consistency of her actions. He respects cultural differences, considers emotional context, and remains adaptable in his interpretations. In doing so, he avoids miscommunication and cultivates deeper, more meaningful connections with the women in his life. 5. Building stronger connections through body language awareness. Understanding body language is one of the most valuable skills a man can develop in his interactions with women. While words convey explicit messages, body language reveals unspoken emotions, hidden thoughts, and genuine feelings that words may not express. A woman's gestures, posture, and eye contact often speak louder than anything she verbally communicates. Interpreting these signals allows a man to respond appropriately, strengthening connections and avoiding misunderstandings. Observing body language is not about focusing on a single gesture in isolation. A woman crossing her arms does not automatically mean she is closed off or uninterested. It could simply mean she is cold or deep in thought. The key is to identify patterns and clusters of gestures that align with her overall energy. If she crosses her arms while leaning away, avoiding eye contact, and giving short responses, it is likely a sign of discomfort or disengagement. On the other hand, if she maintains eye contact, tilts her head slightly, and plays with her hair while speaking, she is likely engaged and receptive. A man who pays attention to these subtle cues can adjust his approach accordingly, making interactions smoother and more meaningful. Responding appropriately to body language requires an awareness of her signals and reactions. She signals interest if a woman leans in, makes intense eye contact, and subtly mirrors a man's gestures. A man who recognizes this can match her level of engagement, leaning in slightly, maintaining warm eye contact, and mirroring her energy. This natural synchronization fosters connection and rapport. Conversely, if she begins to shift away, looks around the room, or angles her body toward an exit, it is a sign to give her space. Ignoring these signs and pushing forward will only create discomfort and tension. Active observation is an essential practice for understanding body language. Many men focus too much on their words, planning what to say next instead of paying attention to the woman before them. However, the most insightful information is often found in the subtle shifts in her facial expressions, micro-expressions, and physical movements. Does her smile reach her eyes, or is it forced? Does she maintain eye contact when speaking, or does she glance around as if searching for an escape? These details provide invaluable insight into her comfort, interest, or hesitation level. A man who trains himself to notice these signals will naturally improve his ability to connect on a deeper level. Being mindful of one's body language is as vital as reading another's. Women instinctively pick up on nonverbal cues, often interpreting confidence, nervousness, or disinterest before a man speaks. An open posture, good eye contact, and relaxed gestures create an approachable and confident presence. Avoiding fidgeting, crossing arms defensively, or slouching signals ease and self-assurance. A man who carries himself with composure and presence immediately sets the tone for an interaction, making it easier for a woman to feel at ease and engaged. Adapting based on feedback is the final key to mastering body language awareness. A woman who subtly mirrors a man's gestures, matching his posture, rhythm, or expressions, demonstrates comfort and connection. He can confidently continue the interaction if she gradually leans in, maintains proximity, and her expressions align with him. However, if she withdraws, becomes more reserved, or breaks eye contact frequently, it is a signal to reassess his approach. Pushing forward despite resistance creates discomfort, while adjusting based on her signals fosters a natural and mutual connection. Developing an acute awareness of body language enhances relationships in profound ways. It allows a man to communicate more effectively, recognize unspoken needs, and build stronger emotional connections. Women appreciate men who can read between the lines, responding to their words and more profound, unspoken emotions. By mastering this skill, a man gains an advantage in every social and romantic interaction, cultivating relationships built on proper understanding and genuine connection. 6. Mastering nonverbal communication. Communication extends far beyond words. While spoken language conveys thoughts and intentions, the body reveals deeper truths, emotions, desires, and hesitations that often go unspoken. Women, in particular, express a great deal through their body language. A subtle shift in posture, A fleeting expression or a slight movement of the hands can communicate more than 1,000 words ever could. Learning to read these cues with accuracy and intuition gives a man a distinct advantage in relationships, allowing him to connect with a woman on a deeper, more instinctual level. Nonverbal communication is often more honest than words. A woman may say she is fine, but if her arms are crossed, her gaze is distant, and her shoulders are tense, her body tells a different story. Many men make the mistake of taking words at face value, missing the underlying messages hidden within nonverbal cues. This can lead to misunderstandings, missed opportunities, and frustration. However, a man who develops the skill to read body language can decipher the emotional truths beneath spoken statements, responding in a way that fosters deeper connection and trust. Facial expressions offer a direct window into emotions. The micro-expressions that flash across a woman's face in a fraction of a second can reveal joy, discomfort, attraction, or uncertainty. A genuine smile that reaches the eyes and softens the face signals warmth and openness. A brief tightening of the lips, a raised eyebrow, or a furrowed brow may indicate doubt, skepticism, or displeasure. When a man pays attention to these subtle shifts, he can gauge a woman's true feelings, even when her words suggest otherwise. Posture and physical orientation provide further insight. An engaged and interested woman will naturally lean slightly toward the person she interacts with. Her body will be open, relaxed, and inviting. Conversely, if she feels defensive or closed off, she may turn her torso away, cross her arms, or create physical barriers with objects like a purse or a drink. These signals are often subconscious, yet they speak volumes about how she feels in a given moment. Gestures and touch convey powerful, unspoken messages. A light touch on the arm, a playful tap, or brushing hair behind her ear are often signs of attraction and comfort. In contrast, minimal or hesitant physical contact can indicate hesitation, discomfort, or a lack of interest. Understanding these cues allows a man to navigate social dynamics with greater confidence, recognizing when to advance, when to hold back, and when to offer reassurance. Context is essential in interpreting body language accurately. The same gesture can have different meanings depending on the situation. A woman crossing her arms in a cold room does not necessarily mean she is closed off. It could simply mean she is trying to stay warm. A fleeting glance might indicate attraction, but if she is scanning a crowded room, it may just be curiosity. Reading nonverbal communication requires looking at the whole picture rather than isolating single gestures. A man who hones this ability becomes more perceptive and attuned to the emotional undercurrents of his interactions. Developing awareness of body language is not about manipulation, it is about deepening understanding. When a man learns to read a woman's nonverbal signals, he enhances his ability to respond with sensitivity and attunement. He can offer comfort, provide space when necessary, and engage in ways that strengthen connection rather than create distance. This awareness also makes him more conscious of his body language. Confidence is not just about words. It is about how one carries himself, holds eye contact, and moves through space. A strong, assured posture, combined with relaxed movements, communicates self-assurance in a way that words alone never could. Like any skill, mastering nonverbal communication requires practice. It begins with observation, paying attention to body language in everyday interactions, noticing patterns, and refining one's ability to interpret subtle signals. It involves listening with the eyes as much as with the ears, absorbing the emotional undertones behind spoken words. As this skill develops, a man finds himself more in tune with the people around him. capable of building more prosperous, intuitive, and fulfilling connections. A woman may not always say precisely what she means, but her body never lies. When a man learns to read the unspoken language of nonverbal cues, he unlocks a new level of understanding in relationships. He no longer navigates conversations blindly, relying only on words. He sees the full spectrum of emotions, desires, and intentions, allowing him to respond with clarity, confidence, and a profound sense of connection. Mastering reading a woman's body language is essential beyond words, allowing for deeper understanding, stronger connections, and more meaningful relationships. Nonverbal communication is often more honest than spoken words, revealing emotions and intentions in ways that words cannot. Every movement tells a story, from facial expressions to posture, from subtle gestures to physical touch. A genuine smile signals happiness, while a polite or forced one may indicate discomfort. Raised eyebrows can express curiosity or skepticism, while a lingering gaze often suggests deep interest or attraction. How a woman positions her body speaks volumes. Open posture signals confidence and engagement, while closed posture may suggest defensiveness or hesitation. When she leans in, it's a sign of interest and connection, while leaning away might indicate discomfort or disinterest. Small gestures, such as playing with a necklace or tucking hair behind the ear, can be signs of nervousness, flirtation, or deep thought. Even mirroring movements, often done subconsciously, is a powerful sign of comfort and rapport. However, understanding body language isn't about analyzing isolated gestures, but recognizing patterns. Context matters. A touch on the arm might mean something different in a professional setting than a romantic one. Cultural influences also shape nonverbal communication, meaning the same gesture may carry different meanings across various backgrounds. The key is observing, interpreting, and responding appropriately, ensuring that interactions are natural and respectful. Becoming more attuned to these unspoken signals makes communication more intuitive, leading to stronger emotional connections and fewer misunderstandings. So, what do you think? Have you noticed these nonverbal cues in your interactions? Share your experiences in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into communication, relationships, and personal growth.